Okay, if you're in a skilled nursing facility, you know that documentation can feel like, well, like walking a tightrope. And that canyon below, it's filled with claim denials. It's a really high-stakes situation. So today, we're going to zero in on one of the wobbliest parts of that rope, the whole debate around daily versus weekly skilled notes. Let's figure this out.
So let's just cut right to the chase, right? The big question is, daily notes or weekly notes? What does Medicare actually want from you? You'd think there would be a simple one-sentence answer. But honestly, this gray area is exactly where so many facilities get tripped up.
And I want to be super clear here. This isn't just about a paperwork headache. This confusion, this uncertainty, it is a direct line to claim denials. We're talking about real money, real audits, real stress. So getting this right isn't just about being compliant, it's about protecting your bottom line.
To really clear up the confusion, we have to go back to the fundamental rule of Medicare. You have to forget about the idea of just filling out forms. It's not about the volume of paperwork. It's about one thing, proof. They're looking for proof of two very specific things.
First up is skilled care. Simple enough, right? This is any service that genuinely requires the skills of a professional. A nurse, a physical therapist, an occupational therapist. Your documentation has to scream, hey, a professional with a specific skill set did this, and it was necessary.
And the second piece of that puzzle, which is just as crucial, is medical necessity. It's not enough to just provide skilled care. That care has to be reasonable and absolutely necessary for that specific patient's diagnosis and treatment plan. Every single thing you document has to tie back to why the patient needs it. And that leads us to probably the single most important thing you need to burn into your brain. If you forget everything else, remember this. Medical necessity drives frequency. It's not a calendar that tells you when to write a note. It's not your facility's policy. It's the patient's condition. Is the patient unstable? Their condition is changing day by day. You're probably going to need daily notes to justify the care. Are they more stable? Well, then a strong weekly summary might be enough. The patient dictates the paperwork.
So with that foundation in mind, let's actually put these two documents side by side, the daily skill note and the weekly progress note. They're not enemies. They're actually two different tools in your toolbox, and they serve very different but very complementary purposes. Think about it this way. Your daily notes are like snapshots. They capture a specific moment in time. They answer the question, what exactly did we do today that required a skilled professional? They're your evidence for that day's billing. The weekly note, on the other hand, is the movie. It pulls all those snapshots together to tell a story. It answers, how is the patient doing overall this week, and why do they still need to be here?
Okay, so knowing the difference is one thing, but avoiding the common mistakes that auditors are literally trained to hunt for, that's the real challenge. So let's talk about the big red flags that get claims denied. All right, here are the big offenders. First, missing a daily note on a day you actually billed for skilled service. That's an easy denial. Then you have weekly summaries. You know the ones, they say patient doing well, continue with plan. That tells an auditor nothing. And oh, the dreaded copy-paste or cloned notes. If your note from Tuesday looks exactly like Monday's, auditors see that from a mile away. And finally, the simple stuff, like late entries or missing signatures, can sink a perfectly good claim. To really bulletproof your documentation, you have to learn to think like an auditor. They aren't just reading your notes one by one. They're connecting the dots and looking for a consistent story across the entire claim.
Here's how they do it. It's pretty methodical. First, they look at what services you billed for. Super simple. Then they dive into your daily and weekly notes to find the justification, the proof for those services. And finally, they cross-check everything against other data, like your MDS assessments and your therapy minutes. If those three things don't line up and tell the exact same story, well, that's when you get into trouble.
So you might be sitting there thinking, how on earth is a busy facility supposed to get this perfect every single time? It feels impossible, right? Well, this is where technology, specifically AI, is becoming a total game changer. Think of it as your compliance co-pilot. So the best practice, the gold standard, is pretty clear. Use those daily notes to capture the specific, skilled what, and use your weekly notes to tell the broader clinical why. When they work together, you have a rock-solid, defensible record. But there's always a but, isn't there? And that but is just reality. Clinicians are busy. Things get missed. Humans make mistakes. This is where AI automation goes from being a cool feature to an absolute necessity.
It's the system that works behind the scenes to make sure that best practice is actually being followed, every single time for every single patient.
And here's why that's so powerful. It works in real time. Instead of you finding out you have a missing note months later during a stressful audit, an AI system can flag that gap the second it happens. It lets you fix the problem before it ever even becomes a problem. It's all about being proactive instead of reactive.
Remember that 3-step checklist the auditor uses? Well, AI can basically run that same check for you automatically all the time. It's constantly making sure that every service you bill for has clear, specific documentation to back it up. No more mismatches. You become audit ready by default.
And let's get back to those cloned notes. An intelligent system can actually analyze the language in the notes. It can spot that repetitive, templated phrasing that auditors hate and prompt the clinician to add patient-specific details. It pushes for quality, not just quantity.
What about those small administrative errors that cause such big headaches? A missing signature, a late entry. These are the easy denials for auditors. AI just automates all that nagging. It can build a running to-do list for clinicians, showing them exactly which notes need a signature, making sure everything is buttoned up.
And this might be the coolest part. Remember our analogy? The daily notes are the snapshots. AI can act like the film editor. It can pull all those daily data points, the nursing observations, the therapy minutes, and help assemble them into a powerful, coherent weekly summary that truly tells the whole clinical story an auditor needs to see.
So let's bring it all home with the one thing that truly matters.
I want you to walk away from this explainer remembering this. Medicare does not mandate a specific volume of paperwork. It mandates proof. It is all about the quality and the substance of what you write.
And that really leaves just one final question for you to take back to your team. Take a hard look at your documentation process. Is it telling a clear, compelling story of compliance and great care? Or are there gaps and inconsistencies that are quietly telling a story of risk? The answer to that question could change everything. Thanks for watching.